one. And we are recording with Miss Mitzi Perdue on Sunday, September 10th, 2023 at 3:12 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of people don't know this because of the age difference, but Mitzi is my girlfriend, and I like to settle all rumors and drama around that. We are dating. It is what it is. Get over it. Um,
It's a mere, is it 50 years? Yeah, I think it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
50
we're
years, a few decades here and there.
we're progressive. They'll look back.
Yeah,
They'll look
and
back at us.
yeah, and Tommy dear, I'm in touch with my inner cougar.
Yes, exactly. They'll look back on us. And I'm reading a book about Woodrow Wilson right now, and they're talking about how like if you read some of his quotes, he's so openly racist, but at the time he was considered like a progressive guy. It wasn't even that he was like a normal guy. He was considered a more progressive guy. I didn't know this. He was the president of Princeton, and he was when like black students would apply, he would be like, "It's best for you to not apply," and then but in Harvard, they gave their first, I think, master's or PhD to a black student in 1896. And it's like we now look back at that and we're like, oh, Harvard was so far ahead of the curve with what they did. I'm saying all of that on a serious note to say on an unserious note, they'll look back at us in 1,000 years and be like, Tommy and Mitzi were really they were breaking barriers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But because we have a limited amount of time, we'll just jump right into it. So you visited Ukraine, I want to say 3 times, and on the most recent one, there was what I think cannot be explained by anything other than a poison attempt. And not that I have any expertise in this, but it makes me think of the book Surprise, Kill, Vanish by Annie Jacobson. And they talk about this stuff, just what exactly how easy it is. And they're doing this stuff back in the 50s. And then what you also mentioned about your laptop makes me think of Nicole Perlroth's book, ironically enough, about Russian cyber attacks into Ukraine. She wrote this book in like summer 2021, so less than a year before the invasion, and exactly what they would do, signs to look for if your hotel was broken into, what they would do to your computer, so on and so forth.
Would you repeat the names of both those books? Because guess who's going to get them right
Yeah.
off?
Yeah, Surprise, Kill, Vanish, Surprise, comma, Kill, comma, Vanish by Annie Jacobson. And that's all
Oh, I'm
about,
familiar with that name. I like her.
yeah, I love her. It's all about just kind of black ops, United States, Russia, the history of it, and just how big they had their own like poison research center 80 years ago. So this is a fleshed out, mature, I guess, modus operandi. And then the other one is, um, this is how they tell me the world ends by Nicole Pearl Roth, and she talks about it's a very eerie book. Because I think I read it in December 2021, and it starts with how would Russia invade Ukraine, and just talk about cyber attacks and everything, and then 2 months later it happens. I don't know when she wrote the book. I want to say it was that summer, but she talks about journalists going to Ukraine, and they would leave or go to the gym in the hotel, and they'd come back and they notice the door had been jimmied or something, and they go look at your laptop, and if you look closely, you'll notice, or some of them would put like a little bit of dust in the USB port just to see if it was, and then you'd see, sure enough, without a trace. If you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd never see it. But they go in and it's like, oh, your laptop has been backdoor hacked. They're now tracking everything you do, and the only way to fix this is now to throw your laptop in the trash and probably leave the hotel.
Okay, two books I absolutely have to read.
Yeah.
I will share with you so that everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yes, please.
I have been to Ukraine 3 times. I've had 58 stories on it published in places like USA Today, Newsweek, uh, some big outlets. And before I went this time, which was in early July, I was told by several people who are knowledgeable, Mitzi, don't go. The Russians keep a murder list,
Hmm.
and that's people who make Russia look bad. And with 58 articles, every one of which is based on interviews of people from my previous trips, people who had been in filtration camps, experiencing horrendous torture, or talking with police who investigate war crimes. Yes, I had plenty of material that probably would not delight uh, an extreme pro-Russian
Hmm.
censor. Uh, so I was told, don't go. But my theory on all of this was, yeah, it's easy to believe that they keep a murder list, but I bet I'm way far down on it. I bet there are 100,000 people that would be ahead of me on the murder list. So I went. I had a fabulous time. I stayed 6 days. And while I was there, the head of the Kiev Region Police, General Nebitov, assigned 4 special forces police to accompany me wherever I went. These are guys carrying AK-47s, and they won't even speak to you because they're so busy paying attention to what's going on around them. I also had a plainclothes policewoman, and when I would go from one place to another, it would be in a caravan of police cars, a police car ahead, a police car behind, and then I'm in a police car. So they were pretty serious about being protective. And in case anybody ever needs to know this, here's some other ways of protection that they have. You know of a, what's it called? It's not a Carrigan bag, a
Uh,
Carrington bag.
I was gonna say go bag Carrington. No, that's how people misspell my name is Carrington and Cardigan. But no, I don't know what's a Carrington bag.
Carrington bag is, it doesn't let electronic signals go out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Also yeah, Faraday bag.
I guess I'm trying to say a Faraday bag, but I've also, a Carrington event.
Okay.
So
Oh
they,
yeah,
they
yeah. Carrington event is an EMP. I'll stop talking. Sorry. Yeah.
no, help. Come on, since are we engaged or, yeah, we're just dating.
Yeah. No, we're not sure. I think we'll probably get engaged, but we're not in any rush.
Yeah, we've got time.
Got nothing but time. But yeah, it's a Faraday. But yeah, it's
Okay, a
copper
Faraday
mesh.
bag.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they, like, I went to some secret locations, which is really cool. I'll give you an example of one. The Halo Trust does mine clearing, and there are roughly 20 areas within 16 miles of Kiev that are active landmine. Uh, They're areas that are actively land mined. And when they're clearing in an active land mine area. And they don't want people to know where they are because we don't want the bad guys shooting the deminers. So when it's really important to keep it secret, I don't take anything electronic, not my phone, not my watch, nothing. Um, so they're serious about security. But now let's get to the part that I'm kind of hoping will be most interesting to everybody. I was told during my stay there, it was 6 days, that I would have the opportunity to interview President Zelensky. Yes, but they wouldn't tell you ahead of time.
Yeah.
So my 6 days that were planned for expired, but I wanted to stay in case the magic call came through. But I was told by General Nevitov, if you stay, we have to continue to assign security for you for special forces guys and a plainclothes policewoman. And I said, but General, I'll stay in my hotel, and I'm not going to go out in bars drinking. I'll be safe. And he said, or he said through a translator, He said, they know where you are and they know how to get into hotels. Oh, well, I didn't want to drain the police resources, so I got myself on a train to Warsaw, 19 hours. I check in at a Warsaw airport hotel. It was the airport Marriott. And I check in, and as I'm heading towards the elevator, my spidey sense is telling me I'm looking at 2 people who are getting into the elevator ahead of me, and something's going tilt. I think I won't get in. So I pretended to look at my watch and walked away as if I'd forgotten an appointment. And by the way, quick question, do you believe in spidey senses?
Well, they are real. They're not spidey senses. It's what former Secretary of Defense General Mattis calls his quote, intuition is subconscious pattern recognition, nothing more, nothing less. Or as my buddy Don, who I think you've met, he would talk about they'd be on patrol in Iraq, and You know, some things are obvious. You can look for, you're taught. It's like, hey, if all the kids disappear, it means attack's coming. But he's like, sometimes you'd be walking and someone would just say, like, stop. And everyone would stop. And someone would be like, excuse my French, something's fucked. And they'd be like, what do you think? He's like, just, I don't know what it is, man. And like, sure enough, they would take their time and they go, and all of a sudden they start, moving sand or dirt. And there's a 2,000-pound IED. So there is something that you can be trained to look for things, but even when taking like the MCAT, they would tell you your gut is telling you something. It's not magic. Your tap your subconscious. You're not thinking about beating your heart. You're not thinking about releasing insulin, and your body's doing all this stuff. It also works in the mind. So if you see something, your brain is digging deep down inside all of your files of every book you've read and every person you've met and every movie you've seen, and you might not have the conscious explanation to go, oh, those two people in that elevator, it just manifests as
I don't
something's
think
on.
I'll get on the elevator.
Don't get on the. It's just it's the dog growling at the stranger, and you're like, what's wrong? And then the dog's telling you something's up, man. Just don't. So that it is real. It is a thing. It just, yeah.
Well, as I said, I looked at my watch and walked away and began looking at stuff in the lobby. And like half an hour later, I go back to the elevator. And now my mind's a little bit foggy of how this happened because I don't recall getting in the elevator with them there, but they were in the elevator. And I got off at the 4th floor. Apparently nothing happened. And I'm beating myself up thinking, oh, it was okay. What were you fussing about? I go into my hotel room, and sometime later, and again, I'm foggy about the interval. Was it 5 minutes? Was it half an hour? But I begin wheezing worse than I've ever imagined in my life. Just sort of like a railroad train noise. And simultaneously, I'm having great trouble breathing. I'm on the bed, but I'm in the side of the bed that's the far side. It's a king-size bed, far side from where the hotel house phone is. And my brain is telling me, it'd be a really good idea to call the house phone and say help. But two things kept me from it. One, and I'm not clear. I'm not clear whether something in my mind was just going paralyzed and I thought I couldn't do it, or maybe I really couldn't do it, but I couldn't muster the energy to roll over and grab the phone. And then I was also aware that I was having so much trouble breathing that I wasn't sure I could speak. But I happened to have my laptop, I guess it was my iPad, on my lap, and I was still able to move my fingers. And I messaged a Polish friend of mine, a Polish professor, with roughly this message: can't breathe, help, room 407 Airport Marriott. And minutes later, a team of two EMTs and somebody from the hotel were knocking on my door. Actually, they didn't knock on the door, they just opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
And the EMTs, no, who are you? Here's what we're here for. No, they just leapt across the room, and one stuck an oxygen mask over my face, and another, and they're listening. The one who's got the oxygen mask on my face has also applied an oximeter and was listening with a stethoscope. And the other EMT has taken my hand and given me something that I'm going to guess was epinephrine. No impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having more and more trouble. It's sort of like a boa constrictor is making my breath shallower and shallower, but the wheezing, it's just desperately loud.
Yeah.
As I said, I've been with somebody who was dying, who was wheezing and wasn't wheezing this loud. It was epical. Two injections had no impact of any sort. And then I could see, I had a feeling of tremendous passivity. Intellectually, I knew that, this is life-threatening.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel afraid. The same passiveness that kept me from reaching for the phone. It was the weirdest thing to know something seriously bad is happening, and not feeling afraid, just being passive. And if you've ever had trouble breathing, you know that's scary. I didn't feel scared. Anyway, but I was still, my mind, the intellectual part of my mind was still working, and I'm a reporter by trade. So I'm kind of trying to register what I'm seeing. And I see the two EMTs discussing it like very seriously. And then they try a different medication. They inject me in it, and it worked. Like within, again, I'm fuzzy on time, but was it seconds or minutes? I'm not sure. But the wheezing stops. I can breathe. I can move again. And and again, fuzziness on time. I don't know whether this is 5 minutes or 20 minutes, but by the time I could fully talk, I'm asking the guy from the hotel who speaks English, the one who let the EMTs in, I'm concerned what I owe these nice people. So I ask, what do I owe? He asks them in Polish, and they answer, this in Poland, medicine is free. And they said, because it's free, a lot of people, they're lonely, or it's something just not very serious, and they call for the EMTs. Yours was serious. It was as serious as anything we've seen in days. Oh my. Okay, so what happens afterwards? Eventually they leave. I mean, they're still listening to my chest and everything, and at some point I'm well enough. And they leave. But for like 3 days, I was sleeping 19 hours a day. And later, x-rays showed that one lobe of my lung had ceased functioning, which is not good. And the first day afterwards, where I'm sleeping 19 hours a day, it feels something like being drunk, just spacey. But I've never been that drunk. But in the midst of all this sort of haze, I happened to look at my right thigh, and there was this pinhead-sized, very bright mark. And when I finally get home, and I'm talking with my CIA friends and also a Mossad guy, I learned that a common thing that's done in elevators is that there are two people, one bumps into you and the other injects you at the same time. And if they're good enough at it, you have no idea what happened. You don't even feel the pinprick, because the jab is at the same time that they've really bumped you. And I have no memory of anybody bumping into me in the elevator. But where did that red dot come from? And then my possibilities occur to me of what happened. Kind of the simplest would be I was allergic to something, but I'm 82. I've never been allergic to anything, and I don't recall eating anything unusual. And then I have a niece who's a pulmonologist at the Veterans Administration. And she said what you've described, and I described to her pretty much exactly as I've described it to you. She said that has none of the characteristics of anaphylactic shock, including the inability to move and the lingering for days afterwards in a collapsed lung lobe. She also said, by the way, I ended up with pneumonia quite quickly, and she was able to listen to it. And she said, no, this is an atypical pneumonia. It's not a community kind of pneumonia. This is something else. And I'm very concerned, she told me. Well, a nephew-in-law is a pathologist, and he has a clinical practice and he teaches. And he also said, this is not anaphylactic shock, it's something else. So at this moment, I don't want to accuse anybody, but it seems to me that there was some foul play at work. Your opinion? And I'd also like opinions of anybody knowledgeable, because I think I came pretty close to eternity. And I have a girlfriend who specializes in protection for people, particularly in East Europe. And she said the chances of you surviving that were minuscule, because what if you didn't have your laptop or rather your iPad in your lap. Yeah, what if it was like 5 minutes later when your ability to move was gone, or the passivity had really kicked in, or if your Polish friend was watching Netflix instead of
Hmm.
right by his cell phone, or the EMT. The EMTs could come immediately because the ambulance station is right next to the hotel. Yeah, what if they were out on some other
Yeah.
call? She said, "Yeah, you were really lucky."
I want
So
to,
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
it's insane. I wanted to ask you, um, the passivity. I mean, on one hand, you wonder, is that part of the concoction? It's because the stuff they use are all
I mean, if they, I've heard from a CIA friend that they have 16,000 people in
oh
that
yeah,
laboratory that you discussed, and or rather, sorry, that the whole complex involves 16,000 people. I
yeah,
don't know how many people are in one laboratory,
yeah,
but if there's 16,000 people trying to find ways to do bad things, I would think that some engineered passivity would be a part of it.
yeah. No, I know.
On the other hand, I do not know, and I bet there's somebody listening right now who has a better clue or fix on what that part was.
We've got the labs too, and I'd argue ours are we're probably better at it. But I mean, when it first started, it was all about I think it's Poisoner in Chiefs by I think about Sidney Gottlieb. It might be him, where we would send guys all over the world to get the most dangerous pathogens and spider venoms. And this is when it first started, like early 50s. But as it got better and as technology progressed, you could start making really well designer drugs. So if you can make a designer, pharmaceutical, why can't you make a designer? We have very advanced iPhones and iMacs. Well, we also have really advanced missiles, but those are classified. So, a huge thing is no footprint, no fingerprint. You don't want to know who did it. But yeah, while you're in there tinkering away, you might be able to add something. You might be able to do a delayed onset. You might be able to do something like a induced peace. Maybe you're just relaxed. And you're like, oh, I just need to go to sleep, as opposed to, your adrenaline response going nuts. But on the other hand, I wanted to ask, is that could it have also just been the widely described peace when people are close to death, where they always say it's like it's the weirdest thing. I wasn't scared at all. I was just ready to go. I mean, I'm just curious on a personal level
Okay,
about
I'll
that.
describe the feeling as exactly as I can because
Yeah.
from my point of view, the most unusual aspect of the whole thing was I'm told that like people who have anaphylactic shock that it's terror, or if you have trouble breathing like asthma or something that it's 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 terror. I swear to you there was not an iota of fear even, and yet my mind was functioning well. My mind was foggy, but it was I'm a trained reporter. It's my job to observe stuff, so my mind was still acutely aware that this was, how about really seriously not good.
Hmm.
I mean, I was it the peace that comes with facing eternity? At the point where I knew that it would be a good idea to call the front desk and say help, um, I wasn't particularly aware of facing eternity at that point. I was just passive. Um, and again, I so wonder, could I have, was I muscularly capable of rolling over and grabbing for the bedside phone? Or was it just some extreme passivity that kept me from trying even? I don't know.
I don't.
Uh, but I can swear to passivity and absence of fear. But my mind was, to the extent that I wasn't oxygen deprived, I'm still aware that this is really really bad, but no terror.
Hmm.
I mean, as if I was reading it in a book. Oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't reaching the emotion part of myself.
Yeah. Like a dissociation.
Yeah, I guess that's a good word for it. Dissociation.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, both seem plausible. One, you wouldn't want somebody responding if you're trying to poison them. The other
Well,
seems like,
that brings me back to what my friend who deals with security
yeah.
says, that your chances of surviving that were minuscule. You know, and I assume she knows what she's talking about. And
Hmm.
I think she means survival in the case of the EMTs had to get there really fast, or it would be really ungood.
Hmm. I was gonna say it also, on the other hand, seems like an evolutionary response to stay calm under pressure. Just relax. That might be in itself like an odd adrenaline thing. Don't freak out, sort of focus on the task at hand. But on a personal level,
In fact, I could even wonder what the EMTs were thinking, because there I am, unable to breathe and probably teetering on the brink of eternity, and yet I'm just passively watching them do their thing.
hmm. I mean, I wonder if, something like fentanyl or carfentanil, you need less than a pinprick. You can get somebody to drop. That might be a way to kill someone. It just,
Except it has to have a delay because they
yeah,
don't want you to drop in the elevator because they're there.
I feel like that would be the easiest part, was to add a delay. That would be no problem.
Well, actually, it's known. I have been doing Google searches on Novichok, which seems to be the most likely. I
Hmm.
don't know that it was, but that it comes. It's got like 1,000 formulations, and some of them are delayed reaction,
Yeah.
uh, and there are different ways of applying it. Because another one, a guy from Mossad said that one of the things that they do is, uh, instead of a pinprick, no, they put a film of it that
Yeah.
activates from heat, and you put it on a light bulb of the bedside table. The person turns the light bulb on, and the thing diffuses, and it's odorless and
Yeah.
tasteless. And I suppose it doesn't linger in the environment long. But meanwhile, the next morning, it looks as if you maybe had a heart attack or died of old age or who knows what.
Yeah. It's yeah, if you think about, well, actually one thing Spetsnaz did was the 80s or 90s, and the terrorists took over that like movie theater. There's 400 people inside. They just gassed it with fentanyl, and it killed all the terrorists. And I think it killed like 40% of the civilians, but they just used that because it's so powerful. I mean, carfentanil, I think it's used for like an elephant tranquilizer. It's like if you need to drop an elephant, not in 10 seconds, but now, you can
Yeah.
use that. And
Wow.
then there's also footage of, I think there's like a viral video of like a cop. I don't know, they're searching somebody's pocket, and I guess there's fentanyl and there's a little powder, and she just drops. There's security footage of like police going through evidence, and they just drop. It's so powerful that in the lab they would say like you could just take the top off of like a container, and if you're not wearing like protective equipment, somebody across the room, give it a minute with airflow, and they'll just drop. It's so unbelievably powerful that you could use that. If you put it in like a gel, sure, and place it on a light bulb or anything that emits heat, yeah, and it would dissipate in the air, and it would. And worst comes to worst, if they do find you and they go, oh, they were using a drug, it wasn't natural. You're also disguised by, oh, it's another fentanyl death. How sad. Something that does happen, right? So that you're
Sure.
already sort of shrouded in an epidemic. So,
Right.
and on top of that, it's all these layers, you would also subjectively, it's a painkiller. You'd feel at peace. You'd feel high. You'd be like,
What
eh,
if Novichok was mixed with a little bit of this carfentanil?
yeah. No, it's incredibly effective. It's evil as hell, but that's what you do if you want to poison somebody. You wouldn't want that emergency response of, oh God, something's happening. You'd want that feeling of 10 doses of Xanax. You're like, don't just go to sleep. Sleep it off. You're sick.
Actually, that sort of was my very initial reaction was sleep it off. But then it got bad so quickly that I'm thinking, I'm not going to sleep this off. I
Hmm.
should call the front desk. But at
Hmm.
that point, um, I didn't. And again, I keep asking myself, did I not do it because I was physically frozen or because I was apathetic? And I don't know.
Hmm. On a personal level, just looking at it in hindsight, regardless of, well, I mean, it sounds like it's poison, but regardless of whatever, how, what are your thoughts on it in terms of the, I don't know, the chaotic, the chaotic moments of like how life can end, where you look back and I think we all have an idea of, oh, I'm gonna, get old and then you're gonna know you're sick and but a lot of people, it's just a few terrifying milliseconds on the highway and then it's what is it now looking back where
Oh,
you,
I've, people have asked me since I'm a war correspondent and I write about Ukraine and I love the country hugely. Um, Give me a choice of dying in the saddle or in a nursing home. Boy, I'd sure take dying in the saddle.
yeah,
I, 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 I I'd go back in a heartbeat, except that I have two kids who say, metaphorically speaking, that they'd divorce me if I went back.
yeah,
So out of respect for them, I won't. But I have been told by people that I presume know something about this that if they fail to get you once, somebody's got a black mark in his book and his employment record and wherever, um, and they probably wouldn't fail the second time.
yeah. No, somebody was definitely trying to climb the corporate ladder. Somebody was being a go-getter. They got, you weren't at the top of the kill list, but somebody was trying to show initiative and they completely screwed the pooch. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Somebody.
something. It doesn't have to be the Russians, by the way. Um, it can be like a freelancer in Poland who wants to do a favor for the FSB and expects some kind of reward afterwards. Oh, but one other thing on the computer. I had a couple of weird things happen with the computer, which is, yeah, again, during the several days after, I guess I can call it an attack, after the event, um, I'm at my laptop and I want to look up something. And my fastest way of looking up something that I've recently looked for, I have an Apple, is to go to the recents folder. Is
Mhm.
that does would everybody know what the recents folder
Yeah.
on
I think
an
most people would. Yeah, I can look at the tab right now. Recents.
Okay, and I hope everybody else can. There at least in the Apple and probably in everything, you can see, I don't know, like what you've saved in the last
Most
month.
recently done. Just anything, any application, any web. It's just what you've most recently done on the computer.
Yeah, and it's just perfect for finding something fast, if it's recent. Anyway, so I go to my recents folder. It's completely gone. Absolutely, as if somebody went in there and didn't want to leave their tracks.
The
And
whole
and
thing's
then
just
one other
clear.
thing, uh, my my iPad. I think it's about a year and a half old, and it's one of these wonderful ones that usually I can use it for almost anything, and it will go for 18 hours. Wow. Uh, but then suddenly, for a couple of days, it was draining completely in 2 hours, and I'm freaking out, thinking, what did I use that would drain it so fast? So I go to the internet to ask, and that's one of the symptoms of being hacked.
Brute force hacking. Yeah. If it
By
dies
the way,
quickly or if it gets hot.
okay, I don't. Oh yeah, it was hot, but I don't fully understand what hacking thing could make it hot and drain so quickly.
Well, it's not that it's hot. It's that it's doing a bunch of behind the scenes. Your
But like watching movies doesn't drain it like that.
Well, and I know next to nothing about computers, so I'm probably speaking wildly out of turn. But I know that is something that happens is it drains the battery. If it's being hacked, maybe your computer's trying to fight back. Maybe it's using more energy doing that. But it's activating. It might say it's doing nothing, but it could be activating, open every app on your iPad and it will get hot. But if you're just watching one app, if you're using one app and it's getting hot and the power's draining, you can go, what the hell's going on? Well, I would imagine much like the much like the way to poison someone is it would be a designer software. So it would say everything's fine. Meanwhile, it's what you look at it and you go, the camera's not on. Maybe somebody's using it, and that's not a nothing camera. It's a 1080p 4K 60 FPS camera. It's doing location services. I've had on Andrew Huff, Dr. Andrew Huff from Eco Health Alliance on here, and after he came out and he was a whistleblower about the US's research into COVID. He was harassed by what he thinks was a team of FBI people, and one of the things was he's like, you could tell my phone would have like 60 minutes of battery tops, and it would be hot to the touch. And he's like, it's brute force hacking. So I'm not gonna try to explain it because I know so little about computers that whoever does understand it's probably banging their head against the wall right now. But roughly, I know that is the general idea of what it is. So yeah, you're being hacked.
Well,
Probably.
which would mean that somebody knew like which hotel I was going to.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine that that's probably such like a low level of even know-how. It seems like black magic to me because I don't understand it, right? But I feel like location services and turning on your camera, that'd probably be like the easiest part. I don't know anything about it. It's all, yeah, I don't know. But it sounds like that's what it was. And I would imagine that, yeah, your stuff's probably still hacked.
And what do I do about it? And do I care?
Well, that's another point
I mean,
is,
since I'm not going back. And
yeah.
also, I have been told, I hope this is correct, that the US doesn't take kindly to having their citizens murdered on their soil. So that I've got a lot of protection being here, including that in Poland, I'm told, compared to the United States, if you're in Poland, there are a whole lot of people who might be friendly to Russia and might make some money out of it. It would be harder to find somebody here in the States.
Yeah, no, I think it's a form of mutual assured destruction. Like they could in the same
Oh,
way
I'm
that,
sure they could, but it would
yeah.
be expensive and it would be costly. It would be expensive to hire somebody and it would be costly in terms of the effect.
Well, and the repercussions are just like they can break in and, probably open up the floodgates of our dams, but we can do it too. And we know it's them and they know it's us. So it's kind of back to the gun to each other's head, right? It's deterrence works. And luckily for us it's the United States is capable and it would absolutely be a deterrent. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything you can do about it. I would imagine.
I mean, I could get new laptops and everything, but then I keep asking myself, do I
Exactly.
care?
Yeah. Well, not only that, it's just, is it that they have to physically be near your stuff to hack it? Or is it that they could do it remotely and it's, you're hacked because someone decided they wanted to? That might be the only thing that stands between you and being hacked if somebody wanted to. In which case, get a new
Well,
laptop
actually, I
every
think
day.
they
They'll
do
just hack
want to
you.
because actually, I'm toning down a little bit some of what I'm writing. Instead, I'm spending more time right now fundraising for a landmine clearance.
Hmm.
Oh, and I figure we've got 5 minutes left. Let me share
Sure.
with everybody the coolest thing. If you care about Ukraine, uh, I offered there was this business conference where they had a charity auction where you could auction something and people at the charity, there were 350 people there, could bid on it. There were 10 auction items, and I think mine might have been the last. And I offered a dinner for 7, home cooked by Mrs. Frank Perdue at my home. And I was hoping to get $1,000 for landmine clearance. Uh, they started bidding, and I mean, this is hard for me to wrap my brain around, but the bidding went up to $220,000.
Good Lord.
And what do you cook for somebody when they paid $220,000? And I'm putting as much brain power as I'm capable of for how to make the most of this, because it seems to me that there ought to be, I mean, a public relations firm ought to be able to do a lot with the idea of what do you cook when somebody's paid $220,000. And it's for mine clearance, as in landmine clearance.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I think at that point, there's probably, I think past a certain price point, the money, the money is not going to be related to the meal. I think you just got to make a home cook thing. I think past a certain point, difference between like $1 and $50 is certainly making a better meal. Yeah, 200,000. I mean, well, who? I think you just got to cook a meal. I don't think there's a $200,000 meal.
But I am going to make it as good as I can with,
Yeah,
I mean, there's going to be caviar and champagne.
yeah.
And by the way, we need to wrap up because
Oh yeah, sure.
I've got a 4 o'clock that I need to get ready for.
Okay, yeah. We will wrap it up. Um,
But
that
I have a plea for any of our listeners who has, if anybody's got any insight
sure.
on what I went through, I'd love to know it because I don't want to be obsessive about it, but it sure has my
No,
attention.
no. I mean, it's definitely fascinating. You would want to figure out. I mean, I obsess over, when weird people contact me about the podcast. Yeah, it's and you want to find out who's doing it, why they're doing it. There's a weird, yeah, there's an interest. I think I would be completely interested if I were you. Why wouldn't you be?
Well, my theory is that there's somebody somewhere who can tell me more about it. Um,
If I were you, I would read This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends. I think you'll like that. And I think there might be answers in there. Or it might be able to give you a little bit of a, I don't know, a nod in the right direction.
the other thing is, it's my status symbol. How many other people have survived?
Oh, it is badass. It is a flex. It is a flex. I mean, my street cred is getting banned from YouTube and iTunes. I haven't been poisoned, knock on wood, but I mean that it's pretty badass. It's not cool.
Yeah, and with my grandchildren, my ambition in life is to be a badass grandmother, and
Yeah.
this gets me closer.
Yeah, the KGB tried to kill you.
Can you get? I suppose you can get better, but I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't want to get better because it would be they did kill you. You don't want that.
Okay, we'll go with tried.
Yeah, it's you take second place.
I'm going to be in trouble if
Yeah, no, we'll wrap it. We'll wrap it up right now.
But I love you dearly. You're just the best.
I love you too, Miss Mitzi Perdue. Thank you as always for coming on here, and I look forward to the next one.
Me too.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.